I'm Godzilla. I'm king of the monsters. Rah, no one can beat me. Atomic breath. Oh, Godzilla Rivals issue number 1. What's going on, and welcome to Joe's Geek Show, the video series where we talk comics. And if you're new and like to support the channel, you can do so by hitting that like button, clicking that subscribe button, and sharing. And with that, the King of the Monsters returns to comic books with Godzilla Rivals, issue number 1 from IDW. And this book is written by Paul Aller with art by E.J. Sue, colors by Adam Gazowski, and design and letters by Nathan Wittick. And our tale begins in a 1971 New York City, which is the battleground of a kaiju fight between the king of the monsters Godzilla and the radioactive waste monster Hedorah. Down at the street level, we meet Todd, who is racing in an ambulance to try and get a woman by the name of Dr. Kovacs to a hospital, as she's both been injured and apparently is the only one who can stop the battle of the kaiju. The drive, however, proves to be treacherous, as at first, they narrowly escape being crushed under Godzilla's massive foot, and then, in the midst of the battle, Hedorah loses an arm, which lands on the car, and the acidity begins eating away at it. Todd then manages to pick up the dock and head into the subway tunnels as the two titans continue their brawl. Underneath the streets, they meet a cop who tries to lure them to a shelter, but Todd informs the police officer who the woman is. This convinces the officer to show them toward the hospital, but is then caught in a ceiling collapse, which kills him. Todd makes it to the hospital on time and later wakes up to find himself handcuffed to the chair. As it's revealed, the woman is not Dr. Kovacs, but in fact Todd's sister, who worked for Kovacs. The guard moves to escort Todd out when his sister confiscates the guard's gun and tells the doctor they will save everyone. The two siblings walk back towards Kovacs' research facility, discovering a satellite that they need to power on, which will emit a radiation cocktail. The only catch is the radiation will kill any human nearby. Too weak to go down herself, Todd's sister pushes him in instead, knowing it would be his end, and although reluctant, Todd does as requested, which releases a blue wave that makes the two kaiju walk away from each other, as well as the city. It's then that Todd's sister pulls out a gun and prepares to use it on herself, when Todd reveals that he survived as Hedorah had absorbed the nearby radiation. The issue ends with the siblings looking at the two kaiju departing to the ocean. And at the very heart of everything, what we have here is a story about humanity and the connections we have to one another. How some connections might be stronger than others, like familial bonds, or the incessant need to just do what's right no matter the outcome. And the story illustrates this a few different ways. For one, we've got Todd as a character who will do anything to save his sister. He's driving through a kaiju battle, just trying to get his sister to a hospital that he's been told over and over again has no space. He's lied about who his sister is just to get her space in the hospital. And this is where we also see him sort of disregard other people, particularly people he doesn't really know, in order to save his sister. When the police officer got caught in the ceiling collapse, it was evident through the sister's narration that even though Todd saw this happen, he didn't hesitate. He still picked his sister up and ran. And then later on in the hospital, he's informed by the doctor that, yeah, no, lying about who your sister is a very big deal here, because effectively we had to make space for her by clearing out rooms and turning away patients. People died. But then in a twist, his sister has the complete opposite reaction. When it's everybody at stake, she doesn't hesitate to push her brother down into the pit in order to activate the machine that's going to release the radiation and save everybody, but as far as she knows at the time, would kill him. I mean, yeah, she was going to shoot herself as well after everything had settled down because, why would she want to live with knowing that she effectively killed her brother? But I just really love this juxtaposition between these two characters with a brother that will risk life and limb to save his sister, and his sister who is like, no, everybody else comes first. It's not about us, it's about them, and with the brother, vice versa. which does lead to one criticism I have about the book, and that's after it's revealed her brother's alive, and she's like, oh, hey, yeah, Hedorah must have, absorbed the radiation that was going to kill you. To which Todd is like, oh, yeah, of course, because, you totally figured that out before you pushed me to certain death, right? And then there's a bit of a pause moment, and yeah, it really feels like this bit's being played up for laughs, which felt like a total 180 from the rest of the book, because from start to at least right up to this point, the stakes were very real. You had these two monstrous forces of nature battling it out, buildings falling over, people dying. Choices were being made with life-altering consequences, and then in those last few panels just before the ending, it's just sort of like one of those sitcom moments of, hey, wait a minute. But in terms of the narrative, this was my only real issue with it. When it comes to, say, the sister's narration over the book, I actually really liked a lot of things about this. For one, she gave us a lot of information about the kaiju, specifically how they're not exactly sentient beings, they're more like animals. They don't really have freedom of choice, they just have their baser instincts like survival or being territorial. And I really like Godzilla stories like this where there's no real good guy or bad guy. There's just these two kaiju battling and the damage that ensues and the victims that it creates. As far as the art style goes, I really like it. I think it captures the 70s aesthetic well, with Todd, for example, having this big fluffy, Farrah Fawcett-like hair, and his clothes make him look like Shaggy. Oh yeah, and that old school ambulance that when I saw it, I was like, is that the Ecto one? But it was just an early 1970s ambulance, When it comes to the kaiju, both Godzilla and Hedorah, I think, got a lot of good attention to detail. And at least as far as I can tell, they are actually using the Showa era designs for these two characters. Because as it so happens, Godzilla vs. Hedorah the movie did come out in 1971. Same year this issue's taking place. The action sequences are drawn rather well, and of course, the kaiju battling stuff is my favorite here. Godzilla's atomic breath looks and feels like it has a lot of power, as every time he shoots it, the bright blues just overtake either the page or panels that they're in. And at the end, I think any Godzilla or kaiju fan is gonna get a kick out of this book. And with that, I'm going to give Godzilla Rivals issue number 1 an 8 out of 10. So Godzilla Rivals issue number 1, what did you think about this book? If you've read it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And of course, next up, the King of the Monsters, Godzilla versus Queen of the Monsters, Mothra, aka the Sean Bean of Kaiju. Yeah, she's probably gonna die. And if you like this video, I'd love it if you'd smash that like button, share it with some friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and ring that notification bell for more comic book content. And if you're wondering what to watch next, consider one of these 2 videos. Alright, take care, have a great day, and as always, stay geeky.